Okay, good morning students. Today I am going to explain about sense organs. Sense organs. Now what are these organs? Name itself indicating that sense organs are the organs which can sense the things. Which can sense the things. What are those things? What type of things can be sensed by these organs? Why only these organs are able to sense? What about the others? Okay, we will see first. First here we have to know about two words, that is one stimulus. Stimulus. What is a stimulus? A stimulus is nothing but change in the environmental parameter. Change in the environmental parameter is called stimulus. Change in the environmental parameter is called stimulus. Now what is meant by change in the environmental parameter? Environmental parameter change. Suppose we are in this room, it is completely quiet, the room environment is completely quiet without any sound. In this room, suddenly I asked a question to you. I asked a question means how I asked by producing sound. Means previously no sound is there in this room, no sound was there in this room, but suddenly a sound wave entered. That means the environmental parameter changed from sound less condition to with sound. Sound waves enter. That is called change in the environmental parameter. When this change happens, automatically living organisms show response. Living organisms show response. Response means reaction towards stimulus. Reaction towards stimulus. When I asked a question to you, what you will do? Immediately you give me answer. That means whatever the sound waves produced by me, those sound waves received by you, and you are able to produce sound waves in response in the form of answer. That is called asking question to you is stimulus. Response means giving answer to that particular question. That means I am producing sound, you are receiving sound, and you are responding to that sound. That is called a reaction towards stimulus. Every living organism means here one thing you need to remember, when an organism can respond whenever it is able to take stimulus. Whenever the organism is able to receive the stimulus, then only the organism can respond according to that stimulus. Now, first of all, the organism should have the ability of taking stimulus information. That means living organisms should have the ability to take that information. Now, how the living organisms having, in what way they are able to receive stimulus or stimuli, plural. Means living organisms have specialized cells called receptor cells or receptors. Receptor cells or receptors. These are the specialized cells. Specialized cells capable of receiving stimulus. Capable of receiving. Receptor cells are specialized cells capable of receiving stimulus. Because of having these particular cells in living organisms body, living organisms are able to receive the stimulus or receive the stimuli. Now, where these receptor cells are present in the living organisms body, whether the entire body is having these cells or the entire body is equipped with these cells, or they are confined to a particular organ. That means the second one is correct. Here, these receptor cells are confined to particular organs. Okay. And because of the presence of those cells, those organs, because of the presence of these receptor cells, those organs are able to receive the stimuli or sense the stimuli. That is why they are called as sense organs. Okay, sense organs. Sense organs. Sense organ we can define. Organs with receptor cells. Okay, organs with receptor cells capable of detecting changes in the environmental parameter. Environmental parameter, that is stimulus. Okay, sense organs are organs with receptor cells capable of detecting change in the environmental parameter, that is called stimulus. Those organs are called as sense organs. Okay, now these receptor cells receptor cells have connection with sensory or efferent neurons. Okay, receptor cells have connection with sensory or efferent neurons. What are sensory or efferent neurons? Sensory or efferent neurons means these neurons are neurons that carry information from body parts to spinal cord or brain. Okay, sensory neurons. Receptor cells have connection with the sensory or efferent neurons. Sensory neurons are also called as efferent. Efferent means inside. Efferent means inside. These sensory or efferent neurons, what is the function of these neurons? these neurons carry information from body parts to spinal cord or brain. Means spinal cord and brain are the major parts of nervous system in our body. Okay, that is why they carry information to spinal cord or brain. Such type of neurons are called as sensory or efferent neurons. That means receptor cells, we know that receptor cells are able to receive stimuli. Okay, after receiving the stimuli, receptor cells, they transfer that stimulus information to sensory or efferent neurons. Sensory or efferent neurons carry that information to either brain or spinal cord, or if they carry to spinal cord, from spinal cord to brain the information goes. Brain analyzes that information and produces response. This is a mechanism through which we are able to sense the things. Now the question is, what happens if we are able to receive or not we all the living organisms? What happens if the living organisms are not able to receive the stimulus? Living organisms, if they are not able to receive the stimulus, they cannot survive, because if they are not in a condition to receive the stimulus, okay, if any dangerous stimulus comes into the picture, that means we are walking along the road, suddenly a horn blown by a heavy vehicle like a lorry. Okay, if you are not in a position to receive that sound stimulus, you cannot move away aside, automatically what happens, the truck will hit you. Okay, suppose we are walking along the road, we are walking on a footpath with barefoot without any sandals. A sharp object, okay, you stepped on a sharp object, it pierced into your skin. Okay, immediately what you feel very pain. That is also a type of stimulus. If you don't feel that pain sense, what will happen? You are unable to identify that object. It will pierce into your skin, causes wound, causes a loss of blood. Okay, it leads to infections. Okay, like this, if living organism's body is not able to receive the stimulus, it cannot survive in the environment, because in the environment the conditions are not what we say that always smooth. Sometimes that conditions may havoc also, that means dangerous conditions also we may face. Okay, if dangerous, not only dangerous, if any knife in kitchen, if while cutting the vegetables, unfortunately if the knife cuts here, if you are not able to identify that cut because of pain sense, if you do not have that sense, you are unable to identify that. If you do not have the sense, otherwise sense in the sense here, if you do not have the capability of receiving stimulus, suppose your hand cut down in an accident, you are unable to identify that you have lost your hand because you don't have the sense. Okay, like this, sense is the thing, otherwise sense is the thing which always helps to survive in the surrounding environment properly. Without the sense system, we cannot survive. Okay, like the sense organs are helpful regularly. Sense organs are helpful in our daily life to complete the tasks smoothly and perfectly, without any interruption and without any damage. That is why sense organs are very, 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 very important. And in ancient days, the people identified basically 7 types of senses but out of them, sorry, not I'm going to the tongue. Okay, now we have basically 5 types of senses. One is optic sense. Second one, auditory sense. Third one, olfactory sense. Fourth one, gustatory sense. Fifth one, what we say this touch sense. Okay, we have a number of types of receptors here. Okay, optic sense means visual sense. Visual sense. Auditory sense means sound. Okay, olfactory sense. Okay, smell. Gustatory sense, taste. Okay, touch. Touches. Visual sense. Visual means okay, we can see. Okay, visual sense with the help we have with the help of eyes. Okay, the sense organs which are responsible for visual sense are eyes. The sense organs which are responsible for auditory sense, okay, sound, ears, and the sense organs which are responsible for identifying smell, that is olfactory sense, nose, and gustatory sense, taste, tongue, and touch sense, okay, by skin. By skin. Like this, to receive different types of stimuli, we have majorly 5 organs. 5 major organs. Okay. These are eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. These 5 of them are called as sense organs. Why these 5 only called as sense organs? First itself I told you, these organs have receptor cells in their structures. Receptor cells, we know receptor cells are able to identify the changes, that is identify the stimuli from the environment. When receptor cells identify them and transfer them to brain can analyze them and shows response. Then the organism can survive. Okay, like this, these 5 organs, they are equipped with, in our body, these 5 organs, they are equipped with the receptor cells. Because of the presence of receptor cells, these 5 organs are able to identify or sense the things. Okay, that is why they are named as sense organs. That is why they are named as sense organs. Okay, this is okay about what are sense organs. Okay, now in the next video, I will explain about one by one sense organ and its function. One by one sense organ and its function, its structure. What is the structure of that sense organ? What is the structure of function of that sense organ? Okay. This is about introduction to sense organs. Okay. I hope so. You understood the things. You understand the things very well. Okay. Thank you.